All right, my dear friend, let's talk about testosterone. It's one of the things that most guys don't really pay attention to until it starts quietly wrecking their life. Low energy, low motivation, struggling to build muscle, libido takes a vacation, you chalk it up to stress or age or just being busy. And that's exactly where I found myself at the ripe age of 27 last year. But I wasn't some couch potato living off energy drinks and Hot Pockets. I was building a men's health clinic, Best Man Med, building the business, helping other guys optimize their health and longevity, and meanwhile, I was slowly falling apart behind the scenes. I was still lifting, still eating relatively healthy, but if I'm being honest, it was rather half-assed. Workouts were rushed, meals were skipped or thrown together between meetings. Sleep, kinda optional. Last year was basically survival mode, build the business at all costs, figure out the rest later. And for a while, I convinced myself I was getting away with it. I still looked decent, I wasn't gaining much weight, still showed up at the gym, but how I felt is a different story. Energy was flat, drive was blunted, confidence was quiet and not in the good and grounded way. That gut feeling, something was off, finally pushed me to sit down, do the responsible thing, and run my blood work. Total testosterone in the 200s. For context, healthy young men typically fall somewhere between 400 to 900 nanograms per deciliter. Anything below 300, kinda clinical low T territory. So I wasn't just in the basement, I was underground. So when you see a number like that, your brain immediately goes to one place. TRT, let's fix this. And look, I run a clinic, we prescribe TRT, I know exactly how powerful it can be for the right person, but I also know most guys, myself included, never actually give their body a fair shot to regulate itself. I wasn't really sleeping. I wasn't eating for optimal hormones. I was over-caffeinated, under-recovered, and constantly stressed. So I gave myself 6 months. I'm gonna dial in the basics, control what I can control, and if nothing improves, then I've earned the conversation about some medical intervention. So for step 1, this was the first thing I had to accept. I couldn't add my way out of this. No supplements, no protocol, no special workout plan works if you're still sabotaging yourself daily. Modern life is a testosterone disaster. Lack of sleep, processed food, plastics everywhere, some endocrine disruptors, chronic stress, and most guys walk straight into the buzzsaw without realizing it. And I was no exception. And the biggest culprit for me was probably sleep. Testosterone production happens primarily during deep sleep, especially in the first few hours of the night. Multiple studies show that even 1 week of sleep restriction, like 5 hours a night, can drop testosterone levels by 10 to 15%. Do that for months on end, and your body gets the message. We're not safe. No time for growth, recovery, or optimal hormones. So I cleaned it up. No more glorifying late night productivity. Blackout curtains, eye mask, cool room, 65 to 67 degrees, screens off for an hour before bed, magnesium glycinate and ashwagandha to help me wind down. Not complicated, but consistency matters. Within weeks, I noticed a difference. Deeper sleep, more morning energy, and yeah, the other kind of morning energy too. Step number 2, I cleaned up my environment. Most people massively underestimate how many everyday products are quietly destroying our testosterone. We're talking some plastics, personal care products, food packaging, all loaded with some sort of endocrine disruptors. And listen, I'm not like one of those bro science people, throw away all your cleaning products, but the biggest thing here that matters is the dose. There's a lot of chemicals, BPA, phthalates, parabens. They mimic estrogen in the body. They bind to receptors meant for your natural hormones and disrupt everything. The research here is kind of clear. Exposure to these compounds is linked to lower testosterone, reduced sperm quality, increased body fat, and even some mood disorders as well. And like I said, I didn't go full prepper or tinfoil hat mode, but I made some intentional changes. I swapped plastic water bottles for stainless steel, glass food containers instead of plastic Tupperware. I upgraded my personal care products, deodorant, shampoo, body wash, no weird fragrances, no laundry list of synthetic chemicals. Filtered my tap water, because yes, municipal water is often a chemical cocktail. It's a death by a thousand cuts kind of thing, but cutting them out does add up fast, and I just think it's rather a peace of mind kind of thing. Step number 3, here's where I had to face my reality. Relatively healthy eating doesn't mean optimized. I wasn't eating enough to support recovery, and I definitely wasn't eating the kinds of fats and nutrients my body needs to build testosterone. So here's a quick physiology refresher. Testosterone is synthesized from cholesterol. Your Leydig cells, the ones responsible for testosterone production, rely on dietary fats, cholesterol, and a few key micronutrients like zinc to do their job. So I made some non-negotiable changes. Eggs, yolks included, literally nature's multivitamin. Some red meat. Saturated fat and cholesterol are crucial for hormone production. Lots of olive oil. I am Greek, we need this. Monounsaturated fats that support healthy cholesterol levels. There's some nuts for selenium, which is shown to support testosterone and sperm health. Fruit. Glucose helps regulate cortisol and supports thyroid production, both indirectly tied to testosterone. Love my potatoes as well. Lots of clean carbs to fuel recovery and workouts. I didn't starve myself. I didn't chase some influencer carnivore diet. Just real, nutrient-dense food consistently, and I made sure to prepare this all ahead so I wasn't rummaging in the pantry between meetings trying to figure out what to eat. Now for step 4. Lifting weights is one of the few lifestyle factors clinically shown to increase testosterone. But walking into the gym, going through the motions doesn't really cut it, and I've been training for a long time, so this is a bad excuse for me to fall off. And that's exactly what I was doing during the height of building Best Man Med. Rush sessions, half effort, just enough to say I worked out. But real results, hormonal and physical, come from challenging your body. So I shifted focus, reintroduced a lot of the compound lifts, squats, deadlifts, pull-ups, overhead press, lots of progressive overload, pushing heavier weights safely over time. Intensity, not just attendance to the gym. Studies consistently show resistance training, especially heavy compound movements, increases both total and free testosterone. And within weeks, I felt it. Strength was coming back, muscle filling out, workouts that felt rewarding, not like a chore. So make sure that you're pushing it hard in the gym. Step number 5. Cortisol and testosterone have an inverse relationship. So when cortisol is chronically elevated, testosterone tanks. In building a business, pretty much a masterclass in how to spike cortisol 24/7. I wasn't going to meditate in a cave, but I had to manage it better. Morning walks, 5 minutes of breath work and prayer daily, more like 15 minutes of prayer. Caffeine dialed back. Hard to admit, but necessary. I was probably having 600 to 800 milligrams on my worst weeks, and now I kind of cap it at around 200 milligrams a day. I journal in the morning to clear some mental clutter. This isn't glamorous, but lowering cortisol gives your body permission to prioritize testosterone again. Now for number 6, supplements. I waited to add supplements until everything else was dialed. Supplements support a good foundation. They don't replace it. For me, that meant vitamin D3, which is essential for testosterone production even if your levels are low. Magnesium glycinate, sleep quality, muscle relaxation, stress support. Zinc, involved in hormonal production and immune health. I even tried some testosterone boosters like Tongkat Ali, which do have some promising research on boosting free testosterone, but I wanted to throw the kitchen sink at this to make sure I was fully optimized. Creatine as well, indirectly supports muscle building, performance, and recovery. Really no exotic stacks, no overpriced test boosters, just well-researched basics, used properly. So, as for the results, 6 months later, I ran my blood work again. Total testosterone was in the low 600s. Tripled, naturally. But honestly, the number was just the validation. What mattered more was how I felt. Energy was steady, consistent, and not forced. Strength was climbing. Mood was grounded. Motivation, more internal. Confidence was quiet, real, and not overcompensating. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't overnight, but it did work. So to put this all together, TRT and medications like enclomiphene have their place. We prescribe it every single day for the right person. But most guys, they never even give themselves a chance. They half commit. They patch symptoms instead of fixing the root cause. And they wonder why they still feel off. Truth is, you can't shortcut your way to optimal health, but you can reclaim it if you're willing to be consistent. Sleep, nutrition, training, environment, stress management. Boring? Probably. Effective? Absolutely. When your testosterone's optimized, your body feels different. Your mind feels different. Your life feels different. And if this story sounds familiar, if you're ready to actually handle it, get your blood work done. And if you do want help, that's what we do at Best Man Med. But either way, no one's coming to save your hormones but you. So, thank you for listening.